Welcome back to episode 2 of the Recap Show. Today, we will be talking about inclusion, the U.S. Women's National Team, and of course, the sports. We'll also be joined by Mia Fishel. But first, let's get into the daily discussion.
Welcome back, everybody. I am so happy to be here. We are going to start with the daily discussion, and my creative showrunner really wanted me to let you know that I'm in a particularly good mood today because I got to take a nap. And I thought I'd say, Tobin, how are you today?
I didn't take a nap, but I woke you up from a nap, and I feel like it wasn't as satisfying as you probably taking a nap.
No, because I'm very grumpy when I wake up from a nap. Yeah, sorry about that. But it was a bit of a double day with me for training. So I'm glad I got that extra rest because we are going to have quite an important conversation. Tobin and I have been contemplating and thinking and discussing and debating this topic for a while as the identity of the U.S. Women's National Team continues to evolve, and the question of what this team means and will continue to mean from a standpoint of social activism continues to be shaped with the new generation of player. And it's something that's super important to us because so much of our career was marked by the fight that we had for social progress, for equity, for equal pay. And it came with a lot of hard times and hard conversations. And obviously that conversation is really relevant now. So we wanted to open up some space to talk about it today. And I just wanted to start by saying that it's hard and scary sometimes to have these conversations. And within our membership, we actually have some community guidelines that help kind of shine a light on how we might want to show up for these conversations. And one that I thought was really important for this is accept and expect non-closure, which basically means Tobin and I don't have any answers. We actually, we can just express how we feel and what we know and what we believe and what we want. And this show is a provocation. It's a question. It's not an answer.
Yeah, totally. And I think that, the dialogue within, our house that has happened around this has been a feeling of wrestling with a lot of tension, a lot of tensions in this kind of daily discussion that we're going to get into. And I'm really excited for you to lead the way. I feel like this is your jam, and I love having these types of conversations, and they're really important. And I know we were really excited to get back with the recap show to have discussions exactly like this.
Yeah. So obviously, a lot of the women's soccer community already knows that about in early spring, Korbin Albert it came out that she had liked and retweeted and posted videos on social media that were homophobic and transphobic or shared some of those messages. And so we thought we would address this, and we wanted to start with just the general idea of what it felt like for us to be on the national team when we had to carry the weight of representing our country and speak out about the things that we cared about, and what that kind of history was. Because it's not the same as representing a club. When you put on your jersey, you're putting on a flag on your back and you represent your country. And it was the greatest honor of my life to be able to do that. And to be able to challenge in that environment. And it marked, the things that I'm most proud of in my career. But I thought to start the conversation, it would be interesting to talk about what it was really like. Because I think from the outside, it looked like the U.S. Women's National Team was this group of badass women that were united on everything. And we stood together. We we flipped our jerseys in protest and we did all the things, right? But the reality was, there were so many conversations behind closed doors on what to do. We had to have incredible leadership. There was, disagreement. There was different perspectives, and it wasn't always easy. So tell everybody what it was like going through some of those hard conversations with the U.S. Women's National Team when we wanted to make a collective stance.
It was uncomfortable. A lot of times it was uncomfortable. We shared a room with, between, 20 and 30 women who all felt very different about things. And what's so special about this team. And I, when you get around this group, you will be challenged. You will be uncomfortable. From a soccer perspective, no doubt.
Yeah.
But from a growing up perspective, being challenged, actually growing into who you are as an adult, it's really that's equally as challenging when you're a part of that environment for so long.
I love what you just said about the space, because you're talking about a team that's ages can be from like 15 to 40, right?
Yeah.
So like there has to be space for growth. And I think, obviously the most known fight that we had was for equal pay.
Yeah.
And I always say this, like, we were all collectively aligned on equal pay because we were all women.
Yeah.
And I don't say that lightly. I know what that means. I'm saying that it was easier for us to fight for ourselves. And we all had this in common.
Yes.
And we had, we were different races, different sexualities, across all different types of ideologies.
Mm-hmm.
But we were all women, and we could all agree we wanted to get paid more, right? And that's not to downplay that, because as women, it's really, really hard to say you want to get paid, right?
Yeah.
But when it came to other issues, we were never as aligned.
Yeah.
When the team started talking about kneeling for Black lives, it was a very, very divisive conversation. And I think there was, there's pictures of, players kneeling and players standing, and, there was conflict and there were tears in those meetings. But I think in that there was also, along with,
growth, right?
Yeah, along with the disappointment and the anger and, the distrust that could have been there, there was also just a little bit of grace and a little bit of space.
Yeah.
And at least there was that conversation happening in a way that it mattered.
Yeah.
And it made me very proud to be in a team that was at least brave enough to get mad about it.
Yeah. And there was always a foundation of respect.
I will say that, like, through our equal pay journey, the players that were really a part of that, like, we learned so much, right? We learned what it meant, what we meant to the world. The United States women's national team is a symbol of progress simply because women have not always been allowed to play sports. So just us putting on our kits is an act of, change and growth for society to accept us, to come pay to watch us play. And so through that, there was a level of respect that was developed that we all understood that responsibility was part of the job. And I think for newer players and, for people who aren't on the national team yet, you don't necessarily have that type of experience and understanding of what the team means. And I think, now shifting this conversation into Korbin Albert, I would love to hear from you, Tobin, like when you first saw this, like when you first saw what was posted and the community response, like how did you feel?
I was sad. I was sad because of like what the team represents. I was also sad because like I hold a lot of complexity in that environment, being a part of the queer community, but also being a Christian and also being a very, very much a part of like a foundation on the national team that was through Bible study, which that was through prayer before every single game. I thought that the national team for me, as a Christian, actually gave me the first safe environment as a queer Christian, which shows the power of that community and the space that community gives. And I know for certain the queer Christian community is represented very much at the national team. So I get sad to see religion brought in as a weapon against a community that I'm very much a part of, but also in a team that has represented inclusion, that has represented an openness and a curiosity and a willingness to stand for so much progress in the world. And I think the type of rhetoric that's existing today, like 50 years ago, those were the same people, those were the same rooms that were telling us that we couldn't do the thing that we're doing today, which is playing sport. That was the same, those are the same groups of people that have been holding people back and not including people in this whole entire world, in keeping people away from being included in the best parts of this society. And I think that for me is just shows that, you know, these conversations are important, but like, you know, what's it going to be, you know, 50 years from now? Because it's going to be the same group trying to hold another group back from doing something that they're able to do with immense amounts of freedom. And all we're asking to do is to share and respect the freedoms of all people.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hear your frustration, but I believe.
Yeah, talk to me about how it made you feel.
Well, when the news came out, I actually think I was having a social media like day off.
Oh yeah. You were.
Yeah, I think we like didn't have our phones on, which is like the best thing ever. But then every single time I do that, something horrible happens in the news. And then I'm just like really far behind. But you know what I felt was, you know, I get asked a lot in the last 2 years being sidelined. I haven't played for the national team since the last Olympics 3 summers ago. I get asked, like, do I miss it? And for the first time, I wished I was in camp.
Wow.
I wished I was in that camp because I think what I felt the most valuable in my role was always off the field. Always. I felt like where I could be the most of a leader was not on the field. It was in having these conversations and in, you know, having the opportunity on that team to show the right response, to show the way, to show, you know, how to speak about it and how to push and how to challenge. And it's really, really hard. And I don't know, but I just wanted to be there to try because I loved that. I loved that opportunity that we had on that team to try to forge a path that could help set a precedent. So I mean, the way I felt was like, I want to know what's going on and I want to know what they're doing. And I think about this. I think that the U.S. Women's National Team has stood for reimagination, progress, equity, change, equality, inclusion, diversity, all the things. We haven't always got it right. We certainly haven't. But at our best, we tried. Yeah. And a lot of the reason that the team stands for so much were because of individual decisions that the players made, collective decisions that the players made. And as the team changes, what the team represents will change unless those values are protected. And so when it comes to this specific situation with Korbin, I thought to myself, well, what's our policy? What's our code of conduct? Has this broken our code of conduct? I think so. And then what are the repercussions? Because, you know, I believe in calling in, not calling out. But I think in order to protect the team, to protect players on the team that felt attacked or unsafe, to protect this community that has felt unprotected and unsafe when this was literally the space that they go to have community, there should be clarity. And I think, you know, I think we had talked about being disappointed in some of our teammates for not making a bolder statement. And then I thought to myself, like, should it really be on the individual? Like there wasn't as many outwardly queer players on the team at the time. So should those few players be like holding this weight? Should, you know, we have
what do you think? Because I actually think that has always been the catalyst to the U.S. national team.
It has. And I think we've got to a point, a day and age where it, you know,
that we feel comfortable with the Pride Night.
What do you mean?
Is that like the point that like we've gotten to where we feel like the progress has been made and now we have a Pride Night and we wear rainbow jerseys and that's like enough?
No, I think that like maybe the most slap in the face thing that happened here was that this is all happening during Pride Month, that the team wore Pride jerseys, including Korbin, and then they auctioned them off, including her jersey.
Wait, just like back up. Like, so this all happened during Pride Month and...
Well, it happened earlier, but the last camp was this month in June.
And they auctioned a player's jersey for Pride that had made homophobic and transphobic and harmful comments towards a queer U.S. Women's National Team player.
And the whole community at large.
And the whole community at large. And they auctioned off her Pride jersey.
As far as I know, yes. And
what does that even, like, there's
that just means
like,
we're going through the motions. We're going through the motions. We are, we have a Pride night. Oh, we sell the Pride jerseys. Okay. So now, like, great. I'm glad to do that. Everyone loves a good Pride party, right?
Yeah.
Great. But now you have an opportunity as an institution, I'm talking about US Soccer, to show a good way to create a culture that doesn't just monetize Pride, but actually protects people's feelings and psychological safety and physical safety. And you could actually create that culture, but you have to do so in a way that's consistent and in a way that's not reactionary.
Yeah.
And instead of any repercussions, because as far as I know, there was none at all.
Yeah.
It fell on our captains to do a press conference and be expected to, like, have some miracle, but it's not individuals' code of conduct.
Yeah.
It's US Soccer's code of conduct. And then, then they just said, okay, great, we'll move on to Pride Night. Hopefully everyone auctions off these jerseys and we can and we could just put this behind us.
How do you feel about the players' response and about it being a statement that said we're going to be handling this matter internally?
I think that's a hard thing to say when it was an external matter. The, like, tweets, TikToks, Instagrams, those are external. So I think to a certain extent it needed to be handled publicly. And I also think that there's a opportunity to show how to handle this. So again, in our community guidelines and our membership, we have our oops, ouch, educate. And it's about oops, saying, like, I did the wrong thing, being brave enough to say, ouch, that hurt my feelings, and then leaving space to educate. And so, like, for me, that's, like, such a great tool that could be shared out in a moment like this.
Yeah.
Because it's not about condemning someone for tweeting something, as a young person.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everyone deserves the opportunity to learn and grow and be educated. And there are institutions here that are responsible for creating that environment for themselves and for their brand. And I think that's where I was disappointed. And I think it's I mean, the women's soccer community is beyond disappointed. And what I would like to say to all of the people that have been so hurt is there's so many of us, U.S. Women's National Team players, past and present, club professional players, past and present, that we are, like, side by side with you in this. We are, you are not our fans. We are your community together. And, we share the hurt and the sadness of, what this series of events brought to us. And we're going to continue to do everything that we can as players to protect your safety and our safety, and to make the team and women's soccer at large as safe and as inclusive and as diverse and beautiful and interesting and challenging as we possibly can. And that's our promise to you.
Amen.
We are so honored that we get to talk to some of the coolest athletes and change makers in the world. And this week we are bringing on Mia Fishel. Tobin, will you tell everybody a little bit about Mia?
The big fish.
The big fish.
Chelsea forward, U.S. Women's National Team forward, the future, I think, of the U.S. Women's National Team. We're so excited to have her here.
Yeah, and we had dinner with Mia, and she's literally the coolest, so I can't wait for you all to meet her. And really importantly, because if I ever had this stat, I would need someone to say it, she scored more goals than any player in the world in 2022, with 33 goals in all competitions. And I just love scoring goals, and
you
I
would
love that for
stat.
her. So come on in, Mia.
We are joined by Mia Fishel. Welcome to the Recap Show.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
As a lot of folks know who have been following along with the Recap Show, we are very particular about our guests. And this is a guest that I am so excited, one, to just for everyone to learn more about you. Kristen and I, more like I had the opportunity of going out to dinner with Mia last night, and I just want to say I was absolutely blown away by you as a person. I mean, I had watched your football. And also, like, I feel like we became close friends. I now know that you were born at 3:05 p.m.
You know everything about me at this point. It's kind of scary over one day.
One day. I wanted to give a little bit of backstory. So, me and Fishel, you are obviously a tremendous footballer. You are, I think, a big part of the future of the U.S. Women's National Team. An unfortunate injury, but maybe better now than later. Who knows? We don't know why these things happen. But also plays at Chelsea, which is one of the best women's clubs in the world.
Wow.
Definitely.
And big for you to say.
Definitely a player that has been paving her own path and writing her own story. I was introduced to Mia, well, obviously through, everyone knows I watch a lot of the U.S. youth national teams play. I love watching the next generation, and I always have my eye out for kind of like the special talents coming up, and you certainly were one of them. But it was actually in a decision that you made back when you had declared that you were going to be entering the NWSL draft, and you had been picked by a team that you decided was not right for you to go to. And I remember thinking, and I'm sure I chatted with you about this, and I said, wow, this is the first young player that has called out the system for what it is and said, I am going to take autonomy over my playing career. Talk us through what that was like.
First of all, like, thank you for those kind words. Like, I didn't tell you this yesterday, but like, you're my favorite player growing up. Like, for real. Like, you were the one.
You held that in the whole entire dinner?
I was like, the first day. I can't say it the first day.
It was like day 2. Yeah,
day 2. But I remember I was telling you, like, I had so much fun from U8 through U11 with soccer skills, having fun.
Yeah.
And I immediately like saw that in your game. So that was why. Like, you're my plan growing up.
Oh my gosh, that means the world to me because I was watching your highlights last night and I was like, this chick is good. Like, super good and super skillful, so entertaining to watch, and like, entertaining players are my favorite players in all of football, and you certainly are one of those. So that means
Thank you.
That means a lot to me.
I appreciate that as well. On to the draft, right? Is that my decision of why I chose
like what, how, like, did you have that much bravery and confidence to know, like, that you were going to take autonomy over, like, your career in that moment? Like, we had witnessed, you know, countless amount of, like, older players that had kind of been, like, thrown around the league against their own will. And they didn't feel like they had that. And yet here was the next generation saying, you know, this system isn't right for me.
Yeah. Well, I think it started at a young age. I told my parents, like, at age 8, like, I wanted to be the best soccer player. And obviously growing up watching the U.S. Women's National Team, they're winners. Like, it's competitive. It was so fun to watch. So through my playing career, even at like U8 through U11, once I hit a wall, like, I decide when I want to go to the next team or if I should stay. I always looked at myself and it's like, am I growing? Am I having fun? And so after CSC, I had a bunch of fun, but my favorite coach left. So I was like, okay, what's the next best thing for me?
Yeah.
I went to a little bigger club, surf soccer club, very well-known team. A lot of stars come out of there. And it was the next step, next jump, tactically, physically, the competition, traveling, just, you know, just adding to my experience. And so, you know, another part to the next step is college. Yeah. So, you know, a bunch of offers coming in, what's best for me, and have to look at, you know, the environment, the location, the players that are there. How will they make me grow? I knew going in that there was stars there, big ballers I looked up to.
At UCLA.
At UCLA.
Yeah.
Tegan Micah, Kai McCullough, Ashley Sanchez, Chloe Castaneda, like many ballers that like I looked up to when I watched their game. So decided to go to the UCLA. So I think
for
Four's up.
Four's up.
Yeah, I tell you that. Four's up. And so I think every step of my journey, like I had a say in it and I knew exactly what I was going into.
Yeah.
So then now I declared that I'm going to the draft. There was no other league that I was interested in. I'm like, I'm going to the draft. That's what I'm going to play. So it got all the way up to probably 4 hours before my name got called. Like, okay, this might not go the way that we wanted to. Talking to different teams, kind of having an idea where I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And then I get chosen to a team that I didn't talk to. I don't know their plan for me. And that's something that I'm not used to. Like every step of the way, I've known exactly what I'm getting myself into.
Yeah.
So I immediately was like, hey, this doesn't feel right. I don't feel good about it. I don't know anything about their vision for me. I don't know anything about the team. They never talked to me. Yeah. So I asked my agent, hey, what's another option? What are my opportunities at this point?
Yeah.
So I think that was the reason why I decided to leave, was because every step of the way in my journey, I've always done it by me and where I wanted.
Yeah.
You are like an old soul, like so wise. So what we just learned here, folks, is words to live by.
Yeah.
Am I having fun and am I growing? Like those are your checklists.
Yeah.
Like if I had lived by those checklists, I would have had a way smoother life. Mine was that was not how I was thinking. I also cannot believe that you remember U8 to U11 so well.
No,
these were like pivotal years in your life.
That's what I'm saying. Like whenever someone talks about my past, like I literally go to U8 through U11. Like my growing up.
What happened?
Like that's when I fell in love with the sport. My coach did not care about winning. He could care less. He cared about all of us having fun. Using skill. He's like, how many scissors can you do in this game? Like
it's
if you do the most scissors in this game, like I'll give you like a magic wand. Like that was his thing. Or if I something that you try that's
wand?
new.
I love this guy.
I have like 3 wands. Like still, like doing different skill and
this is what it's about, folks.
So like I always go back to like that was why like I play soccer. It's like I'm having fun.
Yeah.
And as I got older, as things got more complicated, I know the game tactically. Still, I always know if I'm having fun on the field, I'm playing at my best. So
it took me a long time to learn that. Really cool that you had that opportunity.
It's because of my coach. Like I just got exposed to it very early.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure I would have had a totally different soccer career. Like I strongly believe that if I didn't have that coach, like I'd be not where I was today.
But it is like, jokes aside, it is very wise, because I think so many of us in all different careers and walks of life, we learn to disconnect with the way that our own bodies feel. And when you say something simple like, am I having fun? You're simply like checking in with your own reality and letting your own intuition guide you, which like it, to me comes off really obviously when I speak to you, but it's like, it's very, very wise.
Yeah. And when we were talking about you on the way home, and we were just like blown away by like your maturity.
Yeah, also I was at dinner. Why did you pretend?
Oh, yeah. Kristen came late.
She came with her nails done.
I came with my nails done, ready for the show.
Yeah, okay, she came when she wanted to.
She rolled in fashionably late.
Oh, sorry, I'm so busy.
Whatever, I came.
She was at dinner.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's on the record. Yeah, we were just blown away, and we were talking so much about you, and we were like, you asked this question, you go, well, what was her trauma?
Yeah.
Like we associate so much about like football with like trauma, right? Like you had to like, it's just, there's something about all of the journeys that we've heard that like are all rooted in some kind of like probably youth
misery
trauma. And we were like, we don't see any of that. And I said, Kristen, I was like, maybe she doesn't have any trauma. And she was like, I never knew that existed.
Yeah, I have. It's been a pretty smooth ride. Like definitely blessed to get to this point. Obviously, with this injury, this is like my first time where I have to like take a step back. Like okay, like this is serious. I need to focus, like you said, like on myself. Like how am I feeling? Like day by day, month by month. Like the lifting, the repetition of the same thing. It's like it's a lot. So like honestly, like it is the front squats. Oh my god. But
yeah, but you're in month 3 of your rehab, so you're still kind of in the beginning. You're doing really, really well, which is amazing. And I think for like folks that don't know your journey, so you were called into USWNT national team camp for the Gold Cup. You were crushing it. Like you were finding your flow, your form at Chelsea. You came in like really big expectations. We're talking about like you, in my opinion, like number 9 going into this Olympics. You know, and then you have, you know, kind of a tragedy where you have to then reassess your goals and your objectives. Like when you found out the news of your injury, like what was that moment like for you?
Oh man. I think, like you said, like I was riding a high. Like I just got called to my dream team, Chelsea. I'm training with the best players. I feel like, man, like I'm growing so fast. I can't wait to show this off in the U.S. women's national team. Like I'm growing a lot. Like they won't even know I'm a different player than I was in Mexico. Like just because the exposure I have with so many stars in Chelsea. And the camps leading up to it, the one in San Diego, scored a goal, felt good in training. And then this is the big tournament. Like this is the first Gold Cup. Like I'm ready. Like I'm ready to make my mark. Like training and all that. So it comes down to the match day -1, the day before our game. I'm starting. Like we know that the starters of the next game, and I was going in like, okay, I'm a starter. Like for this first game, I can't wait, excited. You know, it was the little 2-minute like round 5v5, and that's when I tore it, and this is my first major injury. Like I've had like little ankle things, but I just felt like a shift in my knee, and I was like, oh, okay, like that was weird. let me walk off. So I like walked off. Trainers checked me. They're like, you're good. Let me do some. I jogged. I did side shuffles. I'm like, okay, like you know, like I'm fine. Like you know, they did the ACL test. Like everything's fine. So then we went back to the training or the hotel, and they wanted to reassess me again.
So you trained the rest of training?
No,
with a torn ACL.
No, I was out. They're like, yeah, you should just take some time off. This is like the last thing, you know. You just relax, you know. And they came back like, how are you feeling? I'm like, I'm feeling good. It just feels overstretched. That was the feeling that I had. And like, okay, like, let's get an MRI, like, just to make sure you're confident in tomorrow's game. It's like, yeah, okay, let's do it. Then,
so it was a surprise.
Oh, it was a total surprise. So, I'm good. Like she said, you know, my ACL is good. And, it just feels overstretched. Like, yeah, they really think that I'm fine. And so I'm at the hotel. We're waiting on the results. Getting called down to the lobby with Twyla and the trainer, and they're like, "You completely tore your ACL. You're gonna need surgery." They were very kind about it. Like they were saying, "You're gonna be back. It's just it's a time, it's a grind, and you'll be back better than ever." When I heard that news, I was like, "Man, like," because I really believe in like going with the flow. Like everything happens for a reason. And I just like took a second. I was like, can I like just have some space for a little bit? And I just like, I think my mind was just blank. Like I think I was in shock a little bit. And then my first call was to Lindsay. It's like the captain. I was like, I want to talk to her. Like I want her to know first because she's like one of my close friends on the team. She's a leader. I look up to her. We talk about soccer all the time and we're always rooting for each other. On club and national team. And then I just remember her saying like, man, this always happens to the good players. Like, it's sad. And it's something that it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult, but you have a whole team around you. Yeah. And I really felt that immediately. I had to get out of that hotel really quick. Yeah. I called my parents. I was like,
yeah, because you were here in LA, right?
Yeah, I was in LA.
Yeah, so you're like, come get me.
My parents are like, gonna drive up for the game the next day.
Oh man.
And I don't even know how they processed that, but like I called my dad and I was like, yeah, like I tore my ACL, and he's like, all right, I'm driving up now.
Wow.
So, long drive back. It's like a total mental shift, Like, I'm about to like kill this camp. Like I'm ready to do my thing, and then it's just like, wow, now I'm out of the Olympics. Yeah. I felt like there was still a lot to prove on the national team. Like I just got there, like I really wanted to solidify my spot. So definitely disappointing, but I take it day by day. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's I feel like your attitude towards things is just like another level. It's probably what's made you like so successful. She kind of seems like a future thinker too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now with where you're at in your rehab, like you shift focus, you kind of like accept what's happened. Now, like, you know, you're in a great club to recover with. I mean, Chelsea, fantastic. Like you're surrounded by, you know, a great support staff. You've got the support of the USWNT national team also. How does that feel? Like, are you excited to get back to London? Are you excited for like your recovery?
Yeah, I'm really excited because even when the news broke out with my team, like everyone was like messaging me, like, when are you going to be back? Like, when are you going to come back to rehab? I'm like, I'm staying here, like with my fam, with my friends, with a nice sun. Like, I'm on this.
Sun. That's a big
in the beach. Yeah. I'm chilling here, guys, for a while. Like,
they're gonna be like, "Wow, you recovered so quickly." You're like, "Sun." Yeah, that's what
sun,
it is. Sun.
Good people, like my family, my friends. So. Sorry, what'd you ask?
You're excited to get back to London?
Yeah, I am excited to get back to London. I think I've been in contact with like a lot of people and some people that like I just didn't know I was that close with. Like, you know, like I'm just a new person, but like the messages were just like, wow. It's like one of those things where it's like your birthday and it's like, you know, like,
I forgot about that person, you know?
And they text you like, you know, happy birthday, like I hope you're doing well, all this stuff.
We always say like there's no better feeling like than your birthday or when you have a major injury because like everyone texts you and like all of a sudden cares about you. Yeah. But then like on the recovery like journey that we've all kind of like faced at some point, you kind of like really want that like around like month 6. Yeah. And you're like, where is everyone?
Yeah. And I think also like it's, you know, when you're in the grind and you're just like, you have one goal in mind. It's like, you know, I want to make the national team spot. Like I want to do well with Chelsea. You kind of forget like all the work and all the accomplishments that you've like been through up to that point. So, you know, doing well, like I feel like I'm doing well with the national team. Like I have this momentum. This happens. And, you know, I get these messages like kind of taking me back, like even to my teammates in Mexico. Like, you know, like it's like, wow, like I really did what I wanted to do leading up to this point. Like I wouldn't change a thing. And they're reminding me that, hey, this is like part of the process. Injuries happen in sports.
Totally.
Can't control it. Yeah. So it was like a moment of like, here are your flowers and just get to work and we'll be ready for you when you get back. Yeah. So I think.
And your ability to like receive that.
Yeah.
And like be open to that and to like look, you get to, you can't choose what happens with your ACL, right? But you get to choose how you respond to it. Definitely. And I think your ability to actually receive the positive side is like a superpower. Yeah. It's a superpower. And, you know, obviously Tobin and I are both dealing with long-term injuries. 3 longs probably still doesn't do it justice. Yeah. But we, in our family, we often talked about like, what's the gift? Like, what's the gift of it? Like, it seems like I tore my ACL. It seems like it was hardship put into my life, you know? And I look at it as a gift. It's just a disguised gift, right? Yeah. And obviously you're 3 months in, you know, you've got a lot in front of you. But is there anything you can point to over, you know, this experience so far that you were like, this is the reason this happened, or like, this is what my lesson is, or this is what I want to get out of it?
Yes, deep.
Big questions here.
Are you surprised?
I'm excited.
You know, I hope I learn the reason more as I continue to go. But even in these first 3 months, it's the time with my family and friends. I've been gone since like high school. Like, I'm at UCLA, but I'm not going back home. Like, I'm meeting new people. Like, I'm in a new environment. I'm in LA. Like, I'm having fun.
I'm in LA now.
I'm balling. Like, I'm good. Like, you know. And so, then after that, I go to Mexico. That's a year and a half, and then I go to Chelsea. So, like, I haven't really been home to spend like quality time with my family, my friends. You know, my sister's home. Community college, working, my brother's engineering in Palmdale. So he's driving down every weekend. And it's like I see my family interact with each other every like day or every weekend. And I'm at my club. Like I'm training, I'm playing games. So I would say like the first 3 months, it's the gift of being with my loved ones and the people who have made me or supported me throughout this whole journey since I was a kid.
Which seems like an awesome support system based on
amazing
on what you said.
Now it's time for everyone's favorite segment, community questions. And today I'm going to start with what they call a layup, I think.
So that's basketball, right?
A basketball metaphor for you.
Great.
Ellen from Norway asks, what time of day do you think is best to play an important match?
Wow, Norway. Well, this is a layup because I love playing under the lights when there's just like a little bit of dew on the ground to make the ball go fast. But I am definitely like a night game person. There is actually a study that athletes have certain peak performance hours, and I am a peak performer later on in the day.
So those late bird.
Nasty like 12 o'clock games, don't expect me to show up until the second half.
What time of day do they play the World Cup final?
9 p.m. It was amazing.
Really?
Oh, wait, you're talking about like in general?
Yeah, the last two, I thought they were in the morning.
Oh, it depends. Yeah, the
So
World Cup finals have been on the day. But I remember in France, we were playing games at like 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Which was amazing.
I know.
Yeah,
You're a late bird.
That was a layup. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for starting with softball. In that case, should I just go to the hard one?
Yeah, go to the mean one.
The mean one?
The mean one. Air quotes for those listening on audio.
Allison Bailey from Canton, Ohio asks, who would win a soccer game if it were 11 Tobin Heaths versus 11 Christen Presses? Press E. Presses. Presses. Oh, okay. What is the plural of press?
The plural of press is press. Right?
No, like if there's the presses. Like,
the plural
are you guys the
of
presses?
press.
Your family.
We're the press family.
Oh, there you go. That's good. That's a great question.
And now I know why before the episode, Tobin decided this was a mean question because the answer was so obvious. And I will have to agree that it is very obvious. Tobin would smoke me. And here's why. I have a lot of quality and excellence in what I consider the most entertaining, fun, and important part of the game. And I have a lot of room to improve in some of the less fun, boring, less entertaining parts of the game, like, defending and, conditioning, knowing where to be if it's not like in the box. So 11 Tobin Heaths would be really scary and really competitive and like very tactically sophisticated. And I would just have 11 players in the box.
I would love to see how 11 Christen Presses showed up against me.
Imagine Christen in the goal.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought. I thought if you had any chance.
I need one. Could it be 10
one.
Christen and a listener?
Actually.
Then she's got a chance. Okay, next. Edlon from England asks, say one day you woke up in each other's bodies for 24 hours. Would Christen make a better Tobin or would Tobin make a better Christen?
Oh my gosh, first off, this is so disturbing. Just trying to picture this. Oh my gosh. I don't think either of us could do it. I think if we had somehow swapped people and we just tried to exist in the world, I think there would be something so fundamentally off that people just wouldn't understand. Remember when I saw that guy rollerblading one time and I was like, that dude's totally an alien.
I do remember that.
Because it was so weird.
You think that he and his partner had swapped bodies and that's what you were seeing? Okay, wait, I just want to quickly say, I think I would be an excellent Tobin. I think
Why?
You've got it easy. I would just not really say much, and I would just smile and be like, whatever, it's cool. You would fall apart. The world would end, actually, if you were trying to beat me.
Wait, but
no one would be on time. No one would know what was going on.
Yeah, but you would just be me in my body.
No,
it's
I
not
wouldn't.
like you would
No, it would
turn
act
into me.
You see, this is when the art of acting comes into play. I would act like you.
I could not act like you.
Okay, our team said last time our answer's a little short, so I think we're overcompensating.
I didn't hear that part, but way to go.
That's
how easy it would be to be me.
Exactly.
Okay, you ready for your final one?
Yes.
Wendy from Camarillo, awesome, asks, what does your ideal Saturday look like? And I would just kind of rejudge this to what does your ideal Sunday look like?
I love what you did there. My ideal Sunday would look like an early morning wake up, like right when the sun was coming up, and then no one else would be awake. And then I would spend like an hour like doing my journaling and scheduling and breathing. And then I would go and plunge in the ocean. And then I would put on a really cute farmer's market outfit, which is like overalls or like a linen dress. And then I would go to the farmer's market. And right when I got to the farmer's market, I would say, how do we shop at the farmer's market? And there's one right answer.
With our noses, well, with our senses, with our noses and our mouth and our heart.
You didn't know? We say it every time.
I know.
With our noses, with our mouths, with our hearts.
I wasn't at the farmer's market, so I couldn't really get into that
okay,
spirit.
that's fair.
Yeah.
But once you see the peaches, you know.
Yeah.
That's how you
You're
shop
kind
at the
of
farmer's
intimidating
market.
at the farmer's market because you're so likable.
I know. It's how I dress. It's the overalls. You know, you just belong.
Your best self at the farmer's market.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know, I really
Farmer's
am.
Market Christen.
Thanks to our wonderful community for submitting the questions. At Re-Inc, we have a membership that is the heart and soul of everything that we do. It's the coolest women's soccer community in the world, the coolest women's sports community in the world. So if you would like to get your question on the show answered by Tobin and I, join our membership and you can submit your questions there. Also, the members are recapping the recap show.
Ooh, so
you
cool.
can go in and have conversations with everybody about what you're loving, what you're hating, what you want to see more. And I will say, Tobin spends a decent amount of her weekends reading and combing through the questions for feedback. So you will get her attention, I promise.
So we heard recently that the U.S. Women's National Team dropped to 5th in rankings, which is the lowest ranking ever for the U.S. Women's National Team, or highest, whichever way you look at it.
It's lowest,
highest.
But I get where you're going.
Yeah.
We get it.
For you who have been part of, the youth system for a long time, you've worn the crest. Seeing that how does that make you feel? Like knowing you're kind of part of the next generation of what this national team will be. And is there a part of that is like super motivating?
Oh yeah, definitely. I was gonna say that's what I was gonna say. It's very motivating. Like I think everyone on the national team, like former ones and current ones, it's like, okay, like you guys have finally stepped up. Like now it's our time to like really get to work. Like, yes, the world has caught up. I see it every day in training at Chelsea. Just stars like from Germany, Netherlands, France, England. Like I see it like every day. So it's like, okay, like now I'm coming in as an American, like representing the U.S. with Kat. And it's like, okay, like we're gonna play too.
We're gonna be the best players on this team.
Yeah, exactly. And I think seeing it, like you said, it's very motivating because these are when like stars rise up. It's like stars can rise like in the shine light, in the brightness when you guys are on top, but when it gets hard, when it's like, okay, the world's kind of counting you out and the world has caught up, like who's going to step up? And I think that's a big motivation from the coaches, the staff, to the players that like, we need to do our thing. We need to go back to training with our clubs. We need to raise the level, come back and destroy every game that we play in. And that's just like the mentality that needs to happen.
Yeah, I feel that from you. Like I get excited for you to be back on the field because like I do believe like hearing you speak and spending time with you, like you have that kind of like hunger and you're excited by the challenge. You're like, no, we're not just trying to be what the U.S. Women's National Team was. We're trying to be the best version the U.S. Women's National Team has ever seen. Yeah. And for me, has to be the perspective. We're not trying to get back to where we were. We're trying to be better.
And a little secret, and Tobin and I say this all the time. People, since my very first camp, people said, oh, the world's catching up.
Her
first camp was a lot earlier than mine. They started saying that. But mine was in like 2012. Oh, the world's catching up. I don't know if you watched us win in the last the prior two World Cups.
Mhm.
There wasn't this giant gap. We
Yeah.
weren't like the
No,
world.
it was, yeah.
We scraped by.
Mhm.
Like we pulled our hair out.
Mhm.
We bled from our
Yeah,
eyes.
yeah.
Like I could not believe we won. We won.
Our preparation was
Yeah.
It's like they say, like, oh, the world's catching up. Like we waltzed to that
it
gold
was
medal.
easy. Yeah.
No. The world is competitive.
It's competitive.
And it's good.
Yeah.
And what I think has changed is there was a major fear factor.
Yeah.
And we obviously had such an investment in our
Mhm.
women's team, and it has shifted. So that's
Yeah.
not to say that like the shift isn't real. It
Mhm.
is.
Yeah.
But like I think you all, as the next generation of the team, should know like
Mhm.
the world hasn't caught up. Like it's always going to be hard.
Yeah.
it's always going to be hard.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, like, and we always have a target on our backs. Like, I'm sorry, like,
Yeah.
even at the youth,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
everyone wants to beat the U.S. like 10-0.
Yeah.
Like, and, you know, they probably saw the scores, like, excuse me, it's a close, like, game, like 1-0, 2-0, like a win's a win. Like,
win's a win.
Yeah.
if you watch the match,
Yeah.
like you said,
Yeah.
like, it's a
It
close
was a
game.
set
Yeah, I don't know if
piece
you
or a penalty.
actually. I don't
Like-
know if you saw Roger Federer's commencement speech for I think
yeah,
it was
you're
Dartmouth. I'm obsessed with it. Go listen to it
Mhm.
because he said I won 80% of my matches or something like that,
Mhm.
and he's like, but did you know that I only won 54% of the points?
Wow.
So
That's interesting.
I
it looked
know.
like
That's very
he
interesting.
like was winning every single match, but
Yeah.
in reality, it was this close between him and the rest of his opponents, and that's how it feels. That's how it feels when you're number one in the world. That you're this close, and
Yeah.
this much of extra training, of motivation, of sacrifice is what matters.
Yeah.
And I love imagining you and Kat
Mhm.
at Chelsea
Oh, me
representing
too.
us. Like
Oh my God.
that is cool.
That is
Like,
so
Yeah.
cool.
It's cool because one, I'm like proud. I'm like, oh, those are good ones. Representing us. Like they made send some bad players over there. But also because like what you said, you're like, I'm playing with the world's best players, and I'm like, I'm gonna play too.
Yeah,
Totally. Like,
Yeah,
that's exactly
definitely.
it, you
Yeah,
know?
and that's my girl. Kat, like we're like
Totally,
like this.
San Diego representing the world.
Yeah,
There we
I'm gonna
go.
see her Wednesday. I
Yeah.
can't wait. Like, but that's what sucked too. Like, honestly, with this injury, as soon as she comes back, I'm gonna be like, bet.
Oh,
Like, we are
totally.
in. Like, me and you are about to run training
Yeah.
now. Like,
Yeah.
we're about to do our thing, and with the national team. So, oh my gosh, like it was like when I called her too. I called her that night as well. I was like, oh my God, this happened, and because we were just so excited to be on the field together.
Yeah.
We respect each other's game. We know that we will raise the level, and we push each other in training. And even when she wasn't training, like she talked to me like
that's awesome.
about my game, where I can grow, how I can grow and make an impact. Because she has more experience with the national team and what's to be expected. So we were just so ready to be on the field together. It's just it will come.
It'll come.
It'll
A
come.
little bit patient.
Yeah, definitely.
And you are so much more than a football player. Like even at such a young age, I feel like you have real purpose to why you play football. Like you use words like inspire and representation when you spoke about like why you play football and what it means to you.
Yeah.
And you're already thinking about the next generation. You're writing a children's book. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, how old are you? You're 23? Like, this is so cool. Like,
Yeah.
to be thinking about, like, what you can do to inspire the next generation at 23 years old is really, like, inspirational for us. Like, tell us, like, where did that spirit come from? Like, what are you up to, like, outside of your rehab?
Yeah. I think it came from, like I said, when I was a kid, like, I'm trying to, like, look for, like, my idol, like who I like, for example, you. Like, if you had merch, I would have bought it. Like, if you had a podcast, if you said something, like I would have heard. You know what I'm saying? So I think now with the exposure of social media, how easy it is to access different platforms and reach a wide group of people. I'm gonna use that because I know how it feels when you're young to not really have a role model and someone that you can actually like, hey, not just like a footballer, but like, what does she believe in? Why does she play the way that she plays, and where does her inspiration come from? And maybe even like the decisions that she makes in her life, like what drives her. So I think that now I'm at the age where, you know, I have a following base. I have little kids doing like the Big Fish Celly. And I feel like I have like a responsibility to show a bit more of myself than the footballer. So I have a book coming out called Big Fish.
Tell us about it.
We
had the honor of getting an early look.
Yeah.
But tell us about the message that you wanted to share.
So the message is basically autonomy, like the power to choose what you want in your life. And I feel like in the book as well, like there are pros and cons to every decision that you make. Like the smallest decision and the biggest decision, there's going to be pros and cons. And it's about knowing yourself. That's another, I think, message outside of the book that I would like to share is like, if you know yourself, which takes years, I don't know everything about myself. It's going to take, you know, time, even, you know, until the next lifetime. But having a good sense of self helps with making the decision that you want to make and not what other people want. Yes, there's pros and cons because other people have done it, but what is your pros and cons list? What do you want to get out of it? So the book kind of guides the question on, you know, why would you make this decision based off of you, based off of other people? And so I think, yeah, the main message is autonomy for sure.
That. I love that. It's wise beyond your years.
Really?
I want to write a child's book someday. So you're inspiring me. And when we're both back on the field, I would like you to help me score goals with my head.
Of course.
That's what I request.
That's done.
I was going to say, for folks that like haven't seen you play, you have what Christen always calls, and I think it's a Spanish word or something like that, exigente, which is like when you're basically doing exactly what you should be doing. It's actually like a feeling. It's a feeling that you can't describe in words.
She totally botched that, but the spirit's fine.
The spirit, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way I interpreted it, and I know what it means, but it's fine. But this is, I'm talking right now, so.
Mike's on mute.
But when I watch you, and I certainly didn't have this, Christen certainly did as a goal scorer, is like when you're in the box, it looks like you're actually in the most comfortable position. Like everything slows down for you. Definitely. There's calmness, like there's creativity. And I think that's like one of the most powerful positions that you can be in as a footballer. And I see that in your game. And I think for all of us, U.S. Women's National Team fans, you know, former players, whatever, people that are fans of the game, like they're going to enjoy your football for a very, very long time. And I think for us, getting to know you, we are inspired by you, and you're certainly one of the players that we are going to be rooting for because I don't know where it came from. We're still trying to figure out if there was some big like moment. Maybe we need a part two
moment in your past,
but
that inspired you to greatness. No,
I don't know if I've ever met a young individual that is just so grounded and so inspirational and just so fun to be around. And fun fact, when Mia was coming up, she was like, "Oh, we should grab dinner and I'll pay." And I was like, "Who is this girl?"
The old soul.
I'm like, I already missed my opportunity at camp because you guys came to camp and everyone is rushing towards you guys. I was like,
"Oh, you were there." We debated this. I was like, "She was there. We didn't meet her."
I was there.
I did tell Christen. I was like, "Did we see everybody that was at camp?" And I think I told Christen I was disappointed that I didn't meet you.
Yeah, I know. I was talking to Jaden. I was like, I don't know if I should go up to them because like, I was talking to Lindsay, like you're girls. I was like, I'm not gonna go and like waste your time. Like, not now. I know I'll meet you. It doesn't have to be that day.
Dinner was more fun.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what? Like, I want to get to know you guys more. Like, let me just ask. It's on Father's Day. I'm like, this is like basically a miss. Like, like I'm shooting my shot, but I don't know if it's gonna land for real.
Shoot your shot. Shoot your shot on the show.
Yeah,
so you shot your shot.
But it came. Yeah, for sure. And I was happy about that. Like, I had a great time at dinner last night, as you guys know.
Well, yeah, I know I was just like the side part of that, the extra dish on the side. She's like, "You're my idol. Let me take you to dinner." And I just showed up.
I said I want dinner with both of you guys.
I know. And the word is dharma, when you're
Dharma.
doing what you're
Dharma.
supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
which you would know because you have a family member that's like mine.
Yeah.
When you're your Dharma, and that's what it looks like when
Yes.
you're scoring goals. You are doing what you were put
Yes.
on this earth to be doing, and you see that in your enormous smile. And it has been a pleasure to have you here on the recap show.
Thank you for having me.
Mia Fishel, everyone.
Thanks.
Want more of the recap show? Never miss an episode by subscribing on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.